Hello, hello, hello. It is Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, actually. I hope you guys are having a fantastic Sunday. And we have tomorrow, we have court. We have court all week. We have court Monday through Saturday. And your girl, Jen Lou, will be here every day to stream it. Okie dokie. All right. So let me say hi to you guys. Hey, Sarah Bellum. Hey, Adrian. How are you? It's been a minute. I haven't seen you in a minute. Hey, Kelly. Hey, Mrs. Troy. Hey, another Amy. Hello, pretend judge. Hello, Carol. Hello, Shelly Beans. Hey, Grace. Hey, Teacup Kraken. Good to see you. Thank you, pretend judge. Thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate that. Thank you for supporting me and the channel. I appreciate that very, very much. Yes, Shelly Beans. It's so sad. Okay, let me just say this. All right. Hey, Elvin Summer. Good to see you. Let me highlight that. And hey, girls and Nana. All right, so let me talk about this Super Bowl Sunday. I'm Texan, all right? And as a Texan, there are only two teams that if you root for them will get your Texas card pulled. All right? That's the Eagles and the Giants. So naturally, obviously, the Eagles are in the Super Bowl. I cannot root for them. And I wouldn't anyway. Never really been an Eagles fan going all the way back to the 90s. It's a bummer. I am bummed. Hey, Neat Noodle, good to see you. By the way, Neat, I appreciate you leaving a comment on Patreon. That was really sweet of you. I'm glad you liked it. I worked really hard on that, and I'm still not sure that it's quite right, but I'm glad that you liked it. You guys know I'm always second guessing myself. Hey, Gretchen. Hey, listen. I will say this. The halftime show was fantastic. I happen to like Kendrick Lamar. I especially like Kendrick Lamar calling out certain people, and I'm going to leave it there. And that is that. Hey, TK in Texas. Hey, Marjorie. Good to see you. Good to see everybody. I'm so glad you guys. Yes. Can we talk about that for just a minute? Sarah, look, because obviously, I don't ever root for the Eagles, but I was kind of hoping for the Chiefs to win because obviously I can't root for the Eagles. That being said, I was also looking forward to the commercials. Usually the commercials are great. This time, the commercials were like, meh. Like, at first I thought, hey, maybe because I was watching it on Tubi because you guys know I don't have cable. I haven't had cable forever. So I thought maybe they're just showing all these Pizza Hut commercials because Pizza Hut is the one that's like responsible for the, whatever. I don't know, the commentary or whatever, they're sponsoring it. So I thought maybe I wasn't getting to see the commercials that everybody else was seeing. And then I realized, yes, I was. And I was like, meh, it was not good. Not good at all. I didn't like it. The seal creeped me out too. Hey, Kawaii Tosh. I almost did it again. Hey, Kawaii Tosh. Good to see you. Hey, Teacup Kraken. Let's see. Who else? I missed somebody else too. Hey, Struggle is Real. Oh, thank you, Neat. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. You guys know that I'm like the most like critical of myself, and I almost did it again. I cannot believe I almost did it again. And like I see things, I don't know, but you guys are always very, very supportive and encouraging, and you guys do give me really good constructive criticism that I need and I appreciate. Okay. Hey, Horror House. So when we left off with this detective. He is one of the detectives that interviewed Megan Boswell. He employed what I like to refer to as the everybody's favorite peepaw approach. He was gentle to her. He was understanding. He wasn't judgy. He didn't come at her hard. And what he really tried to do was appeal to her, not like what he tried to get her to think of her baby, Evelyn, but he didn't really pressure her. You know what I mean? Like he used, I don't know another way to say this, but he almost used guilt by saying, I'm just really worried about that baby. I just can't imagine where could that baby be. And it just breaks my heart to think about that baby being out in the world and you don't know where she is and all of that. But what I did notice was that, of course, he did not use Evelyn's name. And I really do think, you guys, that the reason he didn't do that is because he, as the kids say, matched energies. Okay. She didn't really use Evelyn's name ever. She really referred to her as she, pretty much. Okay. So then we learned that Megan, shocker, everybody, I know, surprise, surprise, Megan lied again, more. So, what she did was, initially, she'd been saying that, Evelyn was with Ethan, okay, Ethan Perry, who is the person that up until up until Evelyn's murder, everybody presumed, except for Ethan. Ethan was like, I'm not so sure. But everybody else sort of presumed that Ethan was the father because that is what Megan told everyone. Okay. But she changed up her story a little bit at the very end. And now she is starting to make the shift away from blaming Ethan for having her, right? And shifting more towards, this is where the story starts to shift into, well, my mom took her. Okay. So that's where we are. He's about to get off the stand. That's where we ended yesterday, and they're about to call someone else. So that's where we're at. Now, I will tell you, I understand now why Boo Sheet asked the question she asked at the end of the stream yesterday, which was she asked about the sonogram picture. I'm given to understand that there's going to be a sonogram picture shown. So we're going to be paying close attention to that. And when they show it, how they show it, in what context, where it's at, all those things. Okay. So just a heads up for that. All right. Are we ready? Oh, Preschool Granny is here. Hey, Preschool Granny. Good to see you, babe. Let me find you. I don't see your comment. Hey, Justin. Good to see you. Did I miss Preschool Granny? Why can't I see Preschool Granny? Well, at any rate, even if I don't highlight, I can't find your comment. I just want you to know. Hi. Okay. All right. Are we ready? Also, one last thing before I forget. Could you guys take a second and give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down on the stream? Either way. Hey, Megan, good to see you. I would appreciate it very, very much. All right. Are we ready? Let's get into it. We don't have that much more to go. We're going to finish it up tonight. So let's get into it.
Is he free to be released?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for your testimony. You're released from your subpoena. You're free to go.
They do have fake sonogram pictures. I'm just very curious what context it's shown. All right. The next witness is Jeffrey Banton. And I think why it's going to be important is because in the midst of all of this, Megan lied again, this time saying that she was pregnant. Hey, Lil Rad, good to see you, babe. If you type in the chat, babe, you ain't lurking. I appreciate you announcing that you're lurking. I wonder if I wrote to Judge, who was the judge for Sarah's trial, the one that I like so much, whose name escapes me right now. I wonder if I wrote to him and asked him what judges are writing and doing when testimony and stuff is going on. I wonder if he would answer me.
Raise your right hand. State your name.
Jeff Blanton.
You solemnly swear affirm testimony about to give you the truth, The whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
Not, no, not Judge Werner, the one from Sarah's. Cranick. Thank you, Shelley Beans. I wonder if I asked Judge Cranick
So your name is
about
Jeffrey
that.
Blanton.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
And your last name's spelled Blanton. Is
Yes.
that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Where are you currently employed?
I'm currently employed by East Tennessee State University.
Okay. And what is your title there?
I'm the Associate Vice President of Administration and Operations
Okay. How long have you been with ETSU?
since January of 2021.
Okay. And is that where you were employed in late 2019 and early 2020?
No, ma'am, it was not.
Okay. Where were you employed during that time?
By the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Okay. In what capacity?
At that time, I was the supervisory senior resident agent in charge of the Upper East Tennessee.
Okay. And how long did you work for the FBI?
Just shy of 25 years.
Okay. Were you always employed with Upper East Tennessee Division?
No, ma'am, I've traveled other
Okay.
places.
Okay. Were you,
Can I just point out really quickly that one thing that I've noticed is you can tell the witnesses, not like, friends and family and stuff that come in to testify for trials, but like law enforcement, expert witnesses, that kind of stuff. You can tell the witnesses who are used to and comfortable testifying in trials because they will always engage the jury. And that at the very end there, he did engage the jury, and it's just something that I noticed. I wonder if jurors notice it too.
a member of the state or Safe Streets Task Force?
Yes, ma'am. I actually started the Safe Streets Task Force in Johnson City in 2012, and during 2019, I supervised the Safe Streets Task
Okay.
Force.
Can you tell the jury what that is?
Yes, the Safe Streets Task Force is made up of federal, state, and local officers and agents, and the purpose of the task force is to combat violent crimes. The typical violent crime you think of in bank robbery, drugs, extortions, and we also got involved in crimes against children as it relates to the Lindbergh Law from 1932.
Okay. And were you employed in that capacity on that task force along with the FBI when you were asked to aid in the investigation of missing child Evelyn Boswell?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Okay. What were you tasked with doing?
Detective Strickler from the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office notified me that there was a missing child in Sullivan County under the tender age, which by statute is 12 years old.
Okay.
That gives the FBI jurisdictional authority to assist local agencies in trying to find that missing child.
Okay.
So I actually didn't have any agents available to come talk with Detective Strickler, so myself and another task force officer came here to the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office and met with Detective Strickler in regards to missing juvenile.
Okay. So in order for, to make sure I'm clear, in order for the FBI to be able to have jurisdiction and to provide aid, it needs to be a child 12 years of age or younger.
By our policy, we use the Lindbergh Law, the tender age law of 12,
Okay.
it gives us jurisdiction to work those cases.
Okay.
However, we're not restricted by that if someone asks for help either.
Okay.
There y'all go. So there is a case that's happening currently that I know you guys are all aware of, that's also in Tennessee. And it sounds to me like the way that the FBI, if they're invited in and they're asked for help, they're not going to deny help for a missing child regardless of age. However, they don't have to wait to be invited in when the child is under 12. And I just think that that's very interesting because I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all, but I'm familiar with the Lindbergh case, and I think that's interesting. Just, food for thought. All right, here we go. I'm going to try not to interrupt too much.
So tender age being 12 or under 12?
Or younger, yes, ma'am,
Okay.
that's correct.
And at some point in the investigation, did you yourself speak with Megan Boswell, the defendant?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay. Was anyone else present when you spoke with Megan Boswell?
Yes, ma'am. Task Force Officer Todd Wilcox
Okay.
was also present during that interview.
Okay. And what agency was Todd Wilcox employed with?
Todd was assigned full-time to the FBI Safe Streets Task Force, but his home office was the Irwin Police Department.
Okay. And on February 19th, 2020, is that when the interview took place with Megan Boswell, with Todd Wilcox being present as well?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
And where did that interview take place?
That interview occurred here at the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office.
Okay. And where in the sheriff's office did it occur?
There was a room, I'm going to assume it was an interview room outside of the detective's offices.
Okay. Is that located in Sullivan County, Tennessee?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay. Was this interview video or audio recorded?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And can you explain to the jury why it was not?
Certainly. FBI policy does not allow us to audio or video record interviews outside of FBI space.
Okay.
If we are in FBI space, then certainly that's an option, but this interview was not recorded.
Okay. Let's see. Do you know how Megan Boswell got to the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office that day?
I don't have, she spoke with me, she said voluntarily, but I'm not sure exactly if someone dropped her off, if she
Okay.
walked there, I don't know how she got there.
Okay. So you sat down with an interview with her, and what did she tell you regarding her missing child, Evelyn Boswell?
She told me and Agent Wilcox that she had last seen Evelyn Boswell on December the 25th of 2019.
Okay. And where did she say she had last seen Evelyn?
She last saw Evelyn at the residence of Ethan Perry's grandparents. I believe their names were Carl and Sherry.
Okay. And did she state that she left Evelyn there, or did she state that she took Evelyn back after she went to that residence?
Yes, ma'am. I'll back up a little bit. The 25th is the last time she said that she saw her.
Okay.
She did tell me that she dropped her off at the residence on the 24th of December, the day before.
Okay. Was she able to give you an exact address of where she said Ethan was staying?
No, ma'am, she could not.
Okay. Did she say when she went to Carl and Sherry Perry's residence whether or not anyone was with her?
When she dropped Evelyn off on the 24th of December,
The 24th, okay.
yes, ma'am, she indicated that she did that alone, that no one was with her when she
Alone.
dropped her off.
Okay. Did she tell you what she did after she dropped Evelyn off that day?
Yes, ma'am. She informed me that she and her family then went with her boyfriend at the time, a fellow by the name of Hunter Woods,
Okay.
that Hunter and her family went to Margaritaville in Pigeon Forge, spent the night in Margaritaville, and then came back to the Sullivan County area on December the 25th.
Okay.
You know, I promised I wouldn't talk too much. Hold on a second. Why isn't my bubble moving? Hold on. Oh, there it goes. Okay. You know, it never ceases to amaze me. Now, you know, we've seen a lot of liars in our days, you know, of watching true crime. But there is a liar, and then there is a prolific liar. Okay. And I would submit to you, because I was thinking about this today with respect to Leilani Simon, Megan Boswell, and Letitia Stout. Okay. Now, when you think about it, Leilani, she did lie, but her lie, the core story of her lie stayed the same. The only thing that she really added was, well, I went to so-and-so's house also for Oragel, right? But the core story of the reason why I was driving at that time of the night was because I was on the hunt for Oragel. But Leilani, but Megan and Letitia, their lies, I mean, certainly Megan had to have thought about the fact that they would check out this story with Ethan's grandparents, okay? If she says that she last saw Evelyn on December 25th, the cops are going to investigate that, okay? and yet she says it anyway and doesn't back off from it. Even when we watched her interrogation video from day four's testimony, with the other detective that just left the stand, she continued to maintain that she saw him, or she saw Evelyn on the 25th, something that's so easy to verify, right? Then you have Letitia. Letitia did the same thing. She stuck to a story that she knew they could verify and see was wrong. And even in her jail calls after the fact, like after she'd already been arrested, while she was awaiting the trial, she still maintained that lame ass story. She added to it, of course, but it never ceases to amaze me how somebody will just continue to say the same thing over and over and over, even when they're caught in a lie, and add to it and drag so many other people in their lie. It just never ceases to amaze me.
Okay.
I need one of those.
Did she tell you
I
she
do.
went back to the Perry's residence after she dropped her off on December 24th?
Yes, ma'am, she did. She indicated that she went back on the 25th.
Okay. Did she say why she went back?
Yes, ma'am. Upon returning from Pigeon Forge, Margaritaville at Pigeon Forge, Ms. Boswell indicated that she stopped by Tommy's house, I think Tommy Boswell Jr., if I
Okay.
remember correctly, and picked up some Christmas presents for Evelyn Boswell.
Okay.
On the 25th, she and her boyfriend, Mr. Woods, took the presents to the Perry's residence to drop them off for Evelyn.
Okay. And did she say whether or not they went into the house that day?
Ms. Boswell indicated that Mr. Woods did not go with her up to the residence, that he dropped her off at the end of the driveway. She walked to the residence, and that she did not go into the house that day.
Okay. So she indicated that Hunter Wood stayed at the end of the driveway.
That's correct.
So did she indicate that they didn't even pull up to the top of the driveway to the house?
She indicated they did not pull up to the top of the driveway.
Why did she say that she wouldn't pull up to the top of the driveway?
She had some concern that Mr. Perry and Mr. Woods may get in some sort of argument or altercation. Therefore, Mr. Woods stayed at the bottom of the driveway, and Ms. Boswell went up to the residence alone.
Okay. And did she indicate that she spoke with Ethan that day?
She did, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did she indicate whether or not she saw Evelyn that day?
She indicated that she did see Evelyn on the 25th, but according to memory, she saw her on the 25th, but less than an hour.
Less than an hour. Okay. Did she indicate whether she saw anyone else at the residence that day?
No, ma'am, she did not.
Okay. And did she indicate that she went back to the residence at any time after that?
I don't have a recollection that she went back. I know she tried to make contact, she said, with her daughter Evelyn later, but I don't recall she went back to the residence.
Okay, so it's your belief that the last date was December 25th?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. To your knowledge, did she tell you whether or not she'd ever left Evelyn with Ethan Perry prior to this time?
I don't recall that she indicated she had ever left her daughter with Ethan Perry prior to this.
Hell, Ethan
Did
only.
she talk at all about the fact that Ethan was in the Army?
She's got it. Never mind. Not
Yes,
going to
ma'am,
help.
she did.
Okay. What did she say about that?
She told me that Ethan was in the Army, that he was home on break, and that she was going to let her daughter Evelyn stay with Ethan, who she indicated was his biological father, for the holiday.
Okay.
And that he also indicated that his contract was up, or was soon to be up, with the Army.
Okay. Okay, so after that date, December 25th, did the defendant indicate that she continued to go over to Ethan's house to try to see Evelyn?
No, ma'am, she did not.
Okay. So did she tell you she did not try to go back over?
Yes, ma'am, I recall having a conversation, and she said that she called I think on New Year's Eve,
Okay.
but that she did not see Evelyn. There was some discussion, she indicated, between her at some point, I don't know if it was the 24th or 25th, I don't recall specifically, maybe both days, she said they did get to an argument, that Mr. Perry said that he was going to try to get custody.
Okay. So she's telling you that Ethan had threatened her.
With attempting to get custody of Evelyn, yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. Did she show you any proof of any custody paperwork at any time?
She did not. I recall asking her who the biological father was on the birth certificate, and she indicated that it was not Mr. Perry. But I don't have any recollection of who that person was, if
Okay.
listed on.
So at some point she told you Ethan Perry was not the father.
Not listed on the birth certificate.
Not listed on the birth certificate. Okay, I apologize. Okay. So, did Megan ever say why she hadn't contacted law enforcement when she could not get in touch with Ethan Perry?
Yes, ma'am, she did. I asked that question, and she said that because Mr. Perry had made threats that he would attempt to gain custody of the child,
Okay.
that she was fearful if she went to law enforcement that would further anger him and bolster his case about getting custody of the child.
Okay. Okay, so Megan has told you that she's never left Evelyn to stay with Ethan before this date. Did she ever explain to you why she felt like it was okay to leave Evelyn with essentially a stranger to Evelyn?
She indicated that she was, I recall her using the words worn out,
Okay.
that Evelyn was attached to her at the hip, and
Okay.
she needed a break, that she had taken care of Evelyn for a year, and she felt like it was time for Mr. Perry to step up,
Okay.
and that she had also been taking care of her father or stepfather's children, other children in the home,
Okay.
and she was tired.
I'll tell you right now, that's the one thing I believe. That's it. That's all. I do think that Megan resented having to take care of Evelyn 25/8. Although I must tell Megan that that is something that is in the large print of the pamphlet when you hell, they tell you about it when you're in high school and you're in biology class and then that one health class. Yeah, they talk about it then. But that is not one of those things that's in this fine print. Like, for example, one of the things in the fine print that they don't tell you about is that when they hit somewhere between 3 and 4, why? They ask you why 11 billion times a day. That's in the fine print, okay? But in the big, bold, underlined font is you will be responsible for this little person that you created 25/8 for the rest of your life. And that's the thing. Parenthood, there's no ending of it, right? You're always going to be a parent, even when your children grow up and they move out of the house and they become adults and they have families of their own. You're still a parent. It's not like it goes away. God, she just makes me so mad. But also, thank you to Neat Noodle for gifting a membership. I appreciate that, babe. Thank you for supporting me in the channel. You're so good to me, and I appreciate it so much.
Did she indicate whether or not she could handle Evelyn herself?
She indicated she was just getting too much to handle. Yes, ma'am.
Did you explain to Megan Boswell that the repercussions of lying to an FBI agent?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Did she indicate that she understood?
Yes, ma'am, she did verbally.
Okay. Did she ever tell you she wanted to correct any of the information that she had given you?
No, ma'am, I went through all of the information in the notes that were taken and read them back to Miss Boswell, and she indicated she had nothing to correct.
Yeah, she don't care.
During this interview, can you describe Megan Boswell's demeanor?
Yes, ma'am. Megan Boswell was very matter of fact, completely unemotional. seemed to be unattached to the gravity of trying to locate a 1-year-old child at the time. She did show some emotion, began to tear up a little when I told her that she could be charged with a felony pursuant to lying to an agent if what she was saying was not true.
Okay. Okay, so after that date, as the investigation continued, were you able to confirm whether the story she was telling you on that date was true or not?
At a later date, yes, ma'am, I was able to confirm that she had not been truthful with me during that initial interview.
Okay. Please answer any questions the defense has for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Scott.
Good afternoon, Mr. Banton. My name's Gene Scott. How are you?
Great, sir. Hope you are.
Thank you. What time of day was it when you arrived at the Sheriff's Department to conduct this interview?
It would have been in the afternoon. I can't give you an exact time, but I recall Detective Strickler calling me. I was actually sitting at my desk, so it was in the afternoon, if I recall correctly.
Okay. And as I understand it, it was at your behest that the interview was not recorded in that room. You had the cameras turned off because of FBI policy.
Yes, sir. The FBI, we take copious notes and document thoroughly and go back over with the person we're interviewing to make sure the person is true and accurate in what we have documented. And our policy at the time, I know I've been retired for a few years, but our policy at the time was not to record those interviews.
Okay.
Not unless they occurred in FBI space.
Prior to conducting this interview, had you watched any other interviews of Megan Boswell with law enforcement?
No, sir, I had not personally watched any.
Okay. Had you been made aware of other interviews with her?
It seems like Detective Strickler may have spoken with her prior to me speaking with her, but I don't know the gist of those interviews.
Okay. That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
You direct?
No, Your Honor.
It honestly feels like what the defense is trying to do is almost act as if the law enforcement, for lack of a better word, browbeat Megan into speaking with them and, almost the admission about Hunter was almost coerced. I don't know. I don't like it. I'm not impressed by it. I mean, there are actual coerced confessions. It does happen. I know that they do happen. People, they're false confessions. It happens. This is not that, though. Let me skip forward a little bit. Oh, not pause.
Or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Hey, y'all just joining us. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. It's good to see everybody. I'm not a fan of this prosecutor.
Thank you.
I'm just not a fan of her style.
Please tell the jury your name and please spell your last name for them, please.
My name is David Gratz. It's spelled Gratz.
Okay. Where are you currently employed?
I'm an attorney in the private practice of law.
Okay. And prior to that, where were you employed?
By the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation.
Okay. When did you first start with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation?
In August of 2019.
Okay. And what was your title during that time?
I was a special agent criminal investigator.
Okay. Can you give the jury a brief summation of what that job entails?
Yes, I was assigned to the criminal investigation division. So it's what a larger department might call like a major crimes unit. So we investigated things like death investigations, missing persons, adults and children, officer-involved shootings, and public corruption.
Okay. If you can also just give the jury a brief summation of your education up until the point of starting your first job.
So I graduated from East Tennessee State University with a bachelor's degree in 2011. I continued on and went to law school at Lincoln Memorial University School of Law and graduated with a law degree in 2014. And do you want me to go into my first employment?
Please.
My first position was with the District Attorney General's office in the 3rd Judicial District, primarily assigned in Morristown.
Okay. And then you went to the TBI thereafter. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And were you employed with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation in February of 2020?
Yes, I was.
And were you called to assist in the investigation of missing child Evelyn Boswell?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Which agency requested the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation's help?
Initially, it was called in by the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office for us to assist in an investigation of a missing child. And later, we were formally requested in writing to assist by the District Attorney General, Barry Stollis.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm handing you a document. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. What is it?
This is a formal request for investigation, commonly issued by district attorney generals throughout the state to request the TBI to investigate the facts and circumstances of a potential crime.
Okay. And is that how the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation essentially is officially called in to investigations?
In a lot of what CID does, yes, we are requested by the district attorney general.
Okay. And on this specific request, what were you being asked to do?
It's essentially just to gather the facts and circumstances of the whereabouts of a missing child.
Okay.
It was Evelyn Boswell.
Okay. Were you given any background information to help you start your investigation?
And like most cases, you receive very little background information. Initially, I was just essentially told that she was missing, that her mother had been located, and law enforcement had talked to her at that point. And I think that's about all I was told initially.
Okay. And we can pass that back. We're not going to put that into evidence. I just wanted you to be able to see that document.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can we approach her?
You know, Stephanie, I've thought about that a lot. Why didn't they? Why didn't they? Why didn't they? And I always have to remember that we know how the story ends. And so I think what we're doing is really looking back at hindsight, and we're seeing red flags because we're being told about them all at once in one fell swoop. And when you're told about them like that, it sort of leaves you with the impression that all of these things happened at once, when in the reality of it is that they happened over a span of time. And I think that what Megan really did is she had a lot of people around her who did truly love and care for her. And what she exploited that. She used the fact that these people in her life loved her and cared for her and wanted to believe the best in her. And she just used that against them. She's absolutely the worst. I mean, she's not the, she doesn't like, there's several people at that top tier of the worst, and she's right there with them. What are we sidebarring over here again for Pete's sake? Is there a damn charcuterie tray over there? Some crudité? What's happening?
And okay.
I'm only rewinding it a little bit because
That's your document.
I'm looking for the bailiff's comic relief.
And I'm going to ask if you recognize that document.
Yes, I do.
Okay. What is it?
This is essentially a standard form made by TBI in Nashville of an Amber Alert poster, and it was issued specifically for the victim here, Evelyn Boswell.
Okay. Is that a fair and accurate representation of the Amber Alert that was prepared and in regards to missing child Evelyn Boswell?
Yes, it is.
We'd ask that be made exhibit number 185.
Would be exhibit 185. Thank you.
Defense. Okay. And permission to publish, Your Honor.
Yes, this right here. Marjorie says, not only that, Bendy, but she was telling people different things that they would believe. We are hearing all of the stories at once. Right. That's a really good point too. Now listen, I don't know that me as a parent and a grandparent would be able, I don't know that I would be able to be strung along like that. I would hope that I wouldn't be, but I also know how much I love my children and always, I mean, I'm aware that they are human beings and that they are flawed. Okay. But it's really hard for me. Sometimes I don't want to be too critical, because at the end of the day, whenever Tommy finally knew something was absolutely, he'd given his daughter every benefit of the doubt. I think he called. And I also think, to be fair, I think that by the time Megan started telling her stories, Evelyn was already dead. And I don't think that had anybody noticed her, which is so sad, and it just absolutely breaks my heart. But I don't think that had they called at the end of December after, or at the beginning of January after Christmas, I don't think reporting her would have saved her life, which also makes me really sad too. That's really the tragedy about all of this, honestly. One of them, I should say. One of them. Oh, look at that baby. I can't.
I'm going to ask you a few questions about this. You said this is the Amber Alert that was sent out in regard to missing child Evelyn Boswell. Is that right?
That is correct.
Do you recall when the Amber Alert was issued?
Yes, it was in the evening of February the 19th,
Okay.
2020.
Okay. February 19th. Okay. And where does that go? Does that go just to the state of Tennessee, or how was the determination made on how far that would go?
That's a question that I don't specifically know the answer to.
Okay.
I know they are issued statewide.
Okay.
I know depending on the location, it can travel over into different states at times.
Okay. And the information on the bottom of this, it's pretty small print.
I can see it.
Okay, you can see it, okay?
I can.
Is the information listed here, and for where had the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation taken these details that are listed on the Amber Alert?
I'm sorry, I don't think I understand your question.
Where did you get the information that Evelyn was last seen wearing a pink tracksuit?
That information was provided to us by the defendant.
Okay. Where did you get information about a BMW?
Also from the defendant.
Okay. All right. Okay. So after the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation was assigned, can you give a brief description of how you, let me back up one step. What was your role in this investigation with the TBI?
I was assigned as the TBI case agent
Okay, so that means essentially the lead case agent over the case for the TBI.
for TBI, yes.
Okay, so after you were assigned this investigation, can you give us a brief description of how you conducted your investigation?
So initially, you just arrive on scene and you try to get as much information as you can. You talk to the people who have already been there, find out what they have done. You talk with the local agency or agencies that are already involved, and you really just try to understand what's going on in the investigation and what has been done so far.
Okay, and were you working with other agencies at this point?
Yes.
Okay, which other agencies around February 18th, February 19th?
When I first arrived, it was TBI was on scene at the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office with Sullivan County, and I believe they were members of the Federal Bureau of Investigation on scene, FBI.
Okay, and how do you meet? How did all these agencies coming together? How do they decide how to execute a plan in an investigation like this?
In the initial phases, you really do the best you can, but it oftentimes goes to either the case agent or the highest in chain of command that is on scene, and they get together and decide which agency will play a role in what, and you just divvy up tasks.
Okay. As part of what you did you go to the trailer that Megan Boswell lived in with Evelyn prior to Evelyn going missing?
Yes, I did.
And do you remember when you went to that trailer?
That would have been the evening of the 19th
Okay.
of 2020, February 19th.
So the same day the Amber Alert went out?
That is correct.
Okay. Anyone go with you to that trailer?
Yes, investigator Tracy Haraz with the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office.
Okay. Why did you go there?
We were going initially to meet a young man named Austin Feller.
Okay. And did the defendant still live at that trailer?
No, she no longer lived there.
Okay. Was anyone living in that trailer at the time?
Yes, there were current tenants who had moved in.
Okay. If I could please see exhibits number 49 and 50. I'm going to show you two documents that have already been introduced into evidence. Is this the trailer that you were describing as being the defendant's trailer?
Yes,
Okay. Just another view. Is that an accurate view of that trailer?
it is.
Okay. And do you know the street address for that trailer?
I believe it's at 976 Sugar Hollow Road.
Okay. Is that located in Sullivan County, Tennessee?
It is.
Okay. Were you able to determine who actually owned the trailer?
Yes, I believe it belonged to the defendant's family, either her dad or her brother, some type of association owned it.
Okay. Were you able to determine if the defendant had left any property behind when she moved out?
Yes, we learned that there was still some property
Okay.
at the site.
And were you given consent to search that site and or anything attached to that property?
Yes, we were given consent to search a small outbuilding that was right there next to that trailer.
Okay. And did you also conduct a search outside the trailer?
I did, yes.
What were you looking for?
Any signs of disturbed dirt, anything that would lead us to believe that the victim may still be there, or anything that would lead us to her current whereabouts.
Okay. Did you find Evelyn?
No, we did not.
Did you find anything else that was significant to the investigation regarding anything associated with Evelyn?
Well, we did inside of the shed that was next to the trailer.
Okay. So, what did you find in the shed?
A stroller that had been left behind.
Okay. I'm going to show you 2 photographs.
I don't want to interrupt any more than I have to, but I do want to say, okay, so I went back and I listened to the defense's opening statement. And Mr. Scott said that there will be one forensic pathologist that is of the opinion that there was movement or she was moved. The way he speaks, I corrected it, Bouchit. I did mean Evelyn. I keep wanting to put Megan in the trash, but that's beside the point. That's neither here nor there. And that's why I keep saying it wrong. I'm so sorry. It is Evelyn that was placed in the trash can by Megan. But when I went back and I listened to his opening statement, he speaks at such a low and then high. It's terrible. Anyway, he said that one forensic pathologist is of the opinion that she was either moved. It's a little hard to understand whether he said moved or there was movement, but that Evelyn was in the trash can alive. But the other forensic pathologists don't share that same opinion. I'm interested in hearing that also, ATS News, because I wonder what data that forensic pathologist has that supports that opinion. So I'm really curious as to what the deal with that is. It's all so awful and sad. And look at her. She might be putting her hand in front of her face and whatever, as if she's having some type of emotion. But I just find her to be so totally disingenuous. I think it's the way that this courtroom is set up, K-Bear's mama. That's why we're not able to see. This is a fairly small, it looks like, courtroom. And so I think that's why. I think that's why. And they've tried to capture Megan's facial expressions and anything, but they have to be really careful because they got in trouble on Friday.
All right, objection's overruled.
Yes,
you.
I do.
You still have the photographs?
They have to be really careful because they had zoomed in trying to get her facial expression, and they got in trouble. So
Okay,
I do.
okay. Do you recognize those photographs?
Yes.
What is it?
These are two photographs of the stroller we found that evening.
Okay. And were you able to determine whose property that was?
Yes, this belonged to the defendant.
Okay. So when you say belonged to the defendant, you found it where again?
In the shed that's essentially not attached, but very close to the trailer where the defendant was living.
Okay. So it did not buy, you said there were new tenants in that trailer.
That is correct.
Okay. Did they indicate that was their stroller?
No, they.
Oh, Adrian. Adrian said, I was in the hospital on a ventilator for 5 days. The doctor's not sure why. I had bronchitis and woke up in the middle of the night and couldn't breathe. Very scary. So been here watching, just not chatting. Oh, babe, I'm so sorry to hear that. I hope you're doing better. I'm glad you're back, and I'm glad you're chatting. Yeah, and a damn brush, MK. MK says maybe the court reporter could lend Megan some of that 2-in-1 shampoo off her desk and a dadgum brush. Ridiculous. How are you going to show up to court looking a mess like that? There's another objection. We're going to have to skip forward again.
Did you locate anything else of relevance to this investigation inside the shed?
Not that I can recall.
At this time, we're gonna, well, let me ask this. The photographs, are they fair and accurate representation of how the stroller appeared on that date?
Yes.
Okay. We'd ask those be made, if possible, collective exhibit number 186.
The collective 186 over defendant's objection.
Yes, Bouchit, that is correct. Ethan has never met Hunter. That's correct.
Permission to publish.
I'm going to go look for it right now, y'all. Give me just a second while they're publishing these photographs.
Is this the stroller that was inside the shed that day?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Is this just a side view of that same stroller?
Correct.
Okay. Did you also take the stroller itself into evidence?
Yes, we did.
Okay. If, Your Honor, may he step down for a second?
Yes. As long as he picked up on the
Okay. If you could step down to where the microphone is. And I'm going to ask if you can identify this piece, if you can recognize what that is.
Yes, I recognize that.
Okay, and what is it?
It's the stroller we found at the defendant's former trailer.
Okay. We'd ask that be made exhibit number 187.
be full exhibit 187 over objection of the defendant.
And, Your Honor, would you like for us to fold that up? They're not always the easiest. Ooh, good job.
Okay, so the way that I understand it is this. Megan and Ethan were the same age, okay? However, Hunter is older than she is. Hunter is a friend and knows Megan's older brother, Tommy Boswell Jr. There's some years between them, and so I don't think they all. I think they all might have gone to the same high school, but I don't think they were all at that high school at the same time. And if they were, I think that maybe it might have been when Megan was a freshman and her brother and Hunter would have been seniors. I think that's how it goes. Yes, Stephanie, please, if you can find that, I would be great. I would so greatly appreciate it. It won't let you paste the link, but if you'll just tell me what channel it is, I can find it.
Do you need help? Just roll it up. See if we can roll it under the table. And that'll work. There you go. Thank you. Okay. So I'm assuming, was law enforcement working long hours during these first few days?
Absolutely.
Okay. Did you attempt to interview the defendant about Evelyn?
Yes, later that night.
Okay. And what would the date have been for that?
When we attempted the interview, it was on February 19th of 2020.
Okay. And about what time did that interview start?
Shortly before midnight and continued on into the early morning hours of February the 20th
Okay. Where did it take place?
at the sheriff's office here in Blumpville.
Okay. Was this interview audio or video recorded?
I believe that interview was audio only recorded.
Okay. And is that office that you interviewed located in Sullivan County, Tennessee?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Prior to talking with the defendant, did you Mirandize her?
I did.
Did she agree to speak with you?
She did.
During this interview, did she tell you the last time that she saw Evelyn?
Yes, she did.
Okay. When did she say she last saw Evelyn?
The day after Christmas, on the 26th of December, 2019.
Okay. Where did she say she saw Evelyn?
At Ethan Perry's grandparents' house.
Who did she say Ethan was in relation to Evelyn?
She had told us, or the defendant being she, had told us that Ethan Perry was Evelyn's father.
Did you talk with her about where Ethan was living?
I did, yes.
Okay, what did you tell her?
Told her that, we had learned that Ethan was full-time in the military and was currently living on a base in Louisiana, I believe, and was living in a barracks on a...
All right, I'm sorry. Maybe I wasn't clear. What did I say? I meant to say there's a significant age difference between Hunter and Megan. Hunter was friends with her brother Tommy Boswell Jr. If I said Ethan, I didn't mean to. I think that there's 2 years age difference between Ethan and Megan, but I distinctly remember the opening statements, and I remember then one of the attorneys, I cannot remember if it was the state or the defense at this point right now, all of it's kind of running together to me, but I remember the words much older boyfriend being used, and I feel like if there has to be some significant age difference between Megan and Hunter for them to use those words.
base.
Okay. Had law enforcement already talked to Ethan at this point?
Yes, they had the Army's branch of CID.
Okay. And did you tell the defendant that?
I did.
What did you tell her about Ethan and Evelyn?
I essentially just told her that law enforcement had cleared that idea that Ethan had Evelyn inside of a barracks, and
Okay. Did Megan stay with that story about Ethan?
at that time she maintained that all she knew was that Ethan had Evelyn.
Okay. And where did she say that she had been living?
As of recently, she told us, the defendant told us she had been living with her boyfriend Hunter.
Okay. Did you ask her if Hunter could have hurt Evelyn?
I did. I asked that specifically.
What did she say?
The defendant said that Hunter would not do that.
Did you ask her if Hunter had been around Evelyn at all?
I did, yes.
And what did she say?
Essentially, no. At that point, she said Hunter had never been around Evelyn.
Okay. Did she say if Hunter had ever babysat Evelyn?
We were told by the defendant that Hunter never babysat Evelyn.
Did she say if Hunter had ever held Evelyn?
The defendant told us that Hunter had never held Evelyn.
Okay. Did you ask her if Evelyn had ever stayed at Hunter's house over on Sandy Point?
Yes, I asked her about that, and the defendant told me that no, Evelyn had never stayed over at Hunter's residence.
Okay. Prior to when she said she left Evelyn with Ethan, did she indicate whether she'd ever left Evelyn with Ethan in the past?
She told us that Ethan had never kept Evelyn alone prior to that day.
Okay. Did she tell you whether or not Evelyn had met Ethan before?
They had been introduced, I believe, briefly prior to that day on a trip to Texas.
Okay. Did the defendant tell you how many times she'd seen Evelyn after leaving her with Ethan in December?
I believe that we had talked about that, yes.
Okay. Do you recall how many times she said she'd seen Evelyn?
I don't think she had seen Evelyn at all after that December 26th date.
Started to object. I'll not make the objection. We approach the bench.
Okay, Stephanie, I will definitely go back and scrub through the
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to go with the officer.
testimony,
One stand, please.
and we'll find out. We will get to the bottom of it. If that heffalump flipped anybody off, I'll find out.
You may be seated. Thank you.
General, you may continue your direct.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Now, I'll say this, okay? I do think that the defense's theory, and I do think that they might put on a case, but I do think that their theory surrounds Hunter. When Hunter's father was on the stand testifying, there was a question asked about, has Hunter ever told his father that people were stealing his thoughts? And that basically the only way to prevent his thoughts from being stolen was to put aluminum foil around his head. Now, we all know that Evelyn was found with aluminum, and aluminum foil around her head and face. I do think that the defense at some point is going to try to come back and connect that dot for us. So I'm just kind of curious about this situation. I don't know how I feel about Hunter, to be quite honest. I don't. I do think that law enforcement did a real. I do think that they care when children are hurt, when they're killed, especially. And I do think that they do a thorough exam. I do think they do a thorough investigation. Now, I do think that there are scenarios in which, for example, Kayla Montgomery, I'm looking at you, where she ought to be buried underneath the jail or prison right there with Adam Montgomery, right? And the prosecution needs to make a deal with the devil in an effort to get the testimony that they need to get. I don't think that's the case here. I'm not saying that Hunter is a saint. I'm not saying that maybe he doesn't have something in his past, but I do think there's just no evidence of Hunter ever being around Evelyn. That's the problem.
I'm trying to remember where we left off. Give me just a second. Okay. I think we had left off on me asking you if the defendant had told you how many times she had seen Evelyn after leaving her with Ethan. Is that the last question I asked you?
I think we were somewhere in that area for
Okay.
sure.
And do you remember what she told you?
I believe what she said was that she had not seen Evelyn since that day.
Okay. Did she tell you that she had been trying to get in touch with Ethan?
I think she said she'd reached out to him maybe one time, once or twice.
Okay.
Adrian, what just happened was the defense objected to this testimony, but the judge doesn't allow speaking objections, so all they can do is object, and then they got to go up to the bench and they talk about, that's where they do the speaking objections. So I'm not 100% sure what they were actually objecting to, because I didn't hear anything that sounded objectionable to me, but that doesn't mean anything. I'm not an attorney, so I'm not going to know all of the objections that one could that are at a lawyer's disposal, or when it's the appropriate time to use those. Hey, Sprinkled
Did she ever
Donut.
tell
Hey,
you that she was
Brenda. Hey,
getting worried
Melina.
about
Good to
Evelyn
see
and her
y'all.
safety?
No, I think she said she just hadn't really given it a lot of thought.
Okay. Did you ask why she hadn't contacted law enforcement?
We did.
What'd she say?
I think she just said she didn't really have a good.
All right. Okay. Here's the deal. I think what they're objecting to is the words "I think." Okay. It's my understanding that the only witnesses that are allowed to give an opinion are expert witnesses. And so when he used the words "I think," that objection may be calls for speculation. You're only supposed to answer what you actually know. And it's interesting to me because this gentleman on the stand, while and back in 2020 when they were investigating this crime, he worked for the TBI. He's now an attorney in private practice. So he should know that better than anybody.
Question.
Is this Abstain.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask, when I ask you a question, if you don't know the answer, you don't have to tell me.
Sure.
We try not to speculate with words like "I think" or things like that. Okay.
Look
so
at
I'm gonna ask
that.
just a few questions
All
and
right.
ask you those questions again. Okay.
Bendy today was smart. Yay for Bendy. That's what it was about. And he knows this. He knows this. He's an attorney. He knows this.
Did Megan say she tried to get in touch with Ethan after the last time she had seen Evelyn?
Yes, TK.
I
8
know
a.m.
she said that, yes.
Okay. Did she say she ever got worried about Evelyn and or her safety?
She said she had not.
Okay. Did you ask her why she hadn't contacted law enforcement?
We did ask her that.
And what was her response?
Specifically, I don't recall what she said.
Okay. What was her demeanor during this interview?
I would describe it as just very nonchalant.
Okay. And on this same day, do you recall being present when she was interviewed again?
Yes.
Okay. And was anyone else present during that interview?
Yes.
And who was present?
At the time, it was Sergeant Matt Price.
Okay. Was the interview audio and video recorded?
It was.
And where did it take place?
It was also at the sheriff's office.
Okay. And is that in Sullivan County, Tennessee?
It is.
How much time had passed from the interview we just talked about to this interview that we're getting ready to talk about?
Something like 8 hours. The interview we initially discussed ended at around 3 in the morning. The interview at the next day was around midday, noon.
Okay. So you said the first one ended around 3 in the morning. Is that right?
That is correct.
And what time do you believe the second one began?
It was around noon the following day, the
Okay.
20th.
I think the reason, call me Sadie, asks, why won't the judge allow speaking objections? It's going to drag the trial out. I think that the reason why judges don't like speaking objections during trials is because it's confusing for the jury. They hear the back and forth between the state and the defense, and it's hard to unring a bell. So what the judge does instead is instructs the jury that when an objection is sustained by either side, that they're to disregard the testimony they just heard preceding the objection. And when they hear the overruled, they're allowed to. Because I think that when there is a back and forth, I think it's human nature to remember something like that. And so I think judges find it problematic,
Okay.
but I don't know for sure. I'm going to write Judge
Without
Kranek
going
and ask
into
him.
the details of that interview, we're going to go ahead and jump ahead to the following day, February 21st. Was the defendant interviewed again on February 21st?
She was.
Was anyone else present for that interview?
Matt Price, at the
Okay.
sheriff's office.
Okay. And was that interview also audio and video recorded?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Prior to that interview, had the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation collected some of Megan Boswell's property from the residents of Hunter Wood?
Yes, a couple of our agents had collected some of her property.
Okay. And did Megan Boswell give you consent to search and collect those items?
She did.
Okay.
That's interesting that Megan's permission was needed rather than the person whose home it was.
Okay, just a second.
No more just a seconds.
Okay. Okay.
Scissors up there.
There's a pair of scissors.
If you want.
That's fine. Thank you.
if you could, just, there should be some gloves up there. Do you see gloves up on the table?
I do. I'm putting them on now.
Okay.
See, okay, if I were sitting as a juror, right, the arguing, which is, I mean, that's what they are, they're actual arguments, but the speaking objections back and forth would make me actually remember the testimony. It would stand out more. And if I'm not supposed to be considering that testimony, it's hard to, like, separate that out as a human being. You remember what it is that you remember. And even if you don't consciously, like you don't like actively say, oh, I remember this, and this was the straw that broke the camel's back. Like this shut the door completely to reasonable doubt. It's really hard, I think. I
You have that one opened.
am not.
No, I
They're
was still
doing an
waiting
all
on
right
you to
job
ask a
Okay.
with
question.
the
If
prosecution.
you could go ahead and
I
open
think.
that item.
Yes, pretend judge. Allie and I, during lunch on that day, we went over to X, and there's a local reporter, or there's a reporter from the local news station who was
Okay, can you
tweeting.
tell me what that is?
This is
Excuse me, Madam Prosecutor, who was tweeting live updates from the courtroom, and she also said that there were several jurors that cried during those pictures.
a small Polaroid type picture that the defendant described was taken at I believe that one was the Blowing Rock trip in North Carolina.
Okay. And to your knowledge, is there a date at all on that? There may not be, I don't know.
This photograph does not have a date on it.
Okay. And where did you obtain that photo? Was that from, where was that photograph obtained from?
It was from a box of belongings belonged to the defendant.
Okay. We'd ask that be made exhibit number 188.
You want it back in the envelope?
May we publish, Your Honor? Permission to publish? Okay. And how did you know what this was a photograph of?
At the time during the interview, myself and Sergeant Price were sitting there with the defendant, pulling these items out, asking her to describe these items to us.
Okay. And she described that as being from Blowing Rock.
That's correct.
Okay. Oh, actually, I want number 6
Could I get that X-Acto knife?
Okay, again, I'm going to ask to open it and see if you can identify it. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
These are a couple of the brochures that have been described as coming from the trip that they had taken over to North Carolina, they being the defendant and her boyfriend, Hunter.
Okay. So how many documents do you have in front of you?
3.
Okay, and what are they individually?
One is titled The Official Visitor's Map and Guide to Blowing Rock, North Carolina.
Okay.
Another one is Mystery Hill, which has a map of North Carolina. North Carolina's natural gravitational anomaly.
Okay.
Another one is North Carolina's oldest tourist attraction, the Blowing Rock.
Okay. If you could slide those back in, I'm going to show them to the defense really quickly. Your Honor, we'd offer this as exhibit number 189, please.
Any objection?
No, sir.
It's collected exhibit 189.
And where did you find those brochures?
They were with the defendant's belongings.
And where were, when you say the defendant's belongings, where were those belongings located?
Inside the residence of Hunter Wood.
Okay. I see the next.
How would y'all feel if I sped this up just a little bit? Because normally I don't, but there's a lot of, unpacking, packing, you know what I mean? I don't think we need to, I think we can skip through that. Hey, Cement Shoes, good to see you.
Okay. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. What is it?
These are photographs of the defendant and Hunter Wood.
Okay. And is that also something that you collected from her belongings?
Yes.
Okay. Does it appear, well, if I could just pass this back first and let Mr. Scott take a look at those.
There's approaching.
Collective 190.
190.
Okay, he's making it, there we go. Now we're seeing the pictures. Here we go.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of one of the photos that you took from the defendant's property?
Yes, it is.
Were these located within anything?
They were inside of a box that the defendant identified as hers.
Okay. Same thing with that one?
Yes.
Okay.
One thing that I will say about the prosecutor Massengill is that, she knew she was going to be using the Elmo, and I appreciate the Manny that she got prior. Like there's, her nails are done, her hands look moisturized. We're not seeing a bunch of dry, scraggly cuticles up there. I appreciate that. It's the little things. They're important. Yeah, Kentucky, this was necessary. We needed to do this. Kentucky Lee, we needed to do this. Speed it up a little bit.
Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. What is it?
This is a card titled Thinking of You with Love.
Oh, boy.
Okay. And does it have any names on it?
Yes, the names on it are Maggie and Hunter.
Okay. And can you tell the jury where that was collected?
It was with the defendant's belongings.
Okay. You could pass that back, please.
His poor bailiff. Up and down, up and down. Bless his heart. Back and forth. Oh, for Pete's sake.
We resolved it.
We
We
resolved it.
resolved it.
Oh, fantastic. I'm telling y'all right now, if it ain't a charcuterie tray up there, there is definitely got to be some crudité up there too. Maybe both. I don't know. Absolutely, TK. That's an excellent point. Ooh, this one. TK says the baby stuff was all filthy, but yet the things important to her were neat, clean, and tidy. Shake my head. Absolutely. And they were with her. That's the other thing. Hey, call me Sadie.
You
Listen,
recognize that?
Yes, I do.
I only
is it?
judge when they're like,
These are photographs of the victim, Evelyn.
I'm only judgy about that kind of stuff when like you're using like something that magnifies them. You know, like if you're using an Elmo or whatever, I wouldn't just judge you for that. No. Mm-mm. Also, I've been rather hard on Miss Prosecutor Massingill, and so I feel like I should give her a compliment sandwich. So that's what I'll say for her.
2 photographs of Evelyn, 1 photograph of Evelyn with the defendant,
Okay, and where were those found?
with the defendant's belongings.
Okay, you could pass those back, slide them back in the envelope and pass them back.
This is a receipt from the Olive Garden on North Eastman Road in Kingsport, Tennessee.
Okay. Was that also taken from the defendant's property?
It was.
Okay. Okay. We'd ask that be offered as exhibit number 191. If I could have it passed back to the witness briefly. Forgot to ask you, what is the date on that receipt?
It's January the 11th, 2020.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. So before we went through all of those, we were talking about that interview from February 21st with Sergeant, now Lieutenant Price.
I totally just said all of that without
Was that
unmute. So that blanket that they just held up is the blanket that Erica Stacy, who is the mother of the boy who Megan dated after Ethan, but before Hunter. So possibly he was the rebound. I don't know.
interview audio and video recorded?
Yes, it was.
Where did it take place?
At the sheriff's office.
And is that in Sullivan County, Tennessee?
Yes, it is.
During this interview, you discussed a second ago the term memory box. At some point, did you have an interview with the defendant regarding this memory box?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Can you tell the jury a little bit about, just briefly, what you did with the defendant?
During that interview, we had what the defendant referred to as the memory box, and we pulled items out of it sort of one by one and had the defendant identify what each item was and the significance of each item,
Okay.
if any.
And what was your purpose in doing that?
You know, at that point, we were just following whatever leads were coming in. We had received that property, and we were trying to identify what it was, determine how it was relevant, and also establish a timeline for the last known whereabouts of Evelyn Boswell.
And did the defendant freely and voluntarily go through that box with you?
Yes.
Okay, give me just 1 second.
Adrian, I'm given to understand that we're going to find out.
Your Honor, may we approach?
I'm just not sure which side is going to be bringing up or is going to be bringing it out. Okay, obviously we're going to need more than the 5-second skip on this.
There's a receipt here.
Okay,
The date indicated is January the 19th, 2020.
okay, thank you. Okay. That's all I need from that, thank you.
I don't know, Teacup. She was never asked that
Now,
by
if you
either
can
side,
Open
so
that up and see if you can identify it.
Yes, this is like a memory book that says "Hello, baby" on the front, and it appears to have an ultrasound.
And where was that found?
It was with the defendant's belongings,
Okay, at what location?
Hunter's residence.
Okay. Okay. We will ask to be moving that as exhibit number 192.
Any objection?
No objection for our agreement, that's great.
I also, yes, Neat Noodle, I do think she was just sweet, and I think Erica Stacy really saw
And
this.
what I'm going to do right now is just ask for you to, Your Honor, may we publish this?
Excuse me. I really do think that what was going on with Erica Stacy is she saw Megan as a young mom and just wanted to help her, really.
To the jury, just the front of the book. Okay. You could just hold up the front of the book so the jury can see the front of the book, please.
I can't
Thank
figure
you.
that out yet, ATS News. I cannot.
And we briefly talked before the break. Is that the book that we were discussing in regards to that interview?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, you can pass that back to the clerk. At some point, did the defendant tell you someone other than Ethan allegedly had Evelyn?
She did, yes.
And who did she allege had Evelyn?
After a period of time, the defendant told us that her mother, in fact, had Evelyn Boswell.
Okay, is
Her
that? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Her mother's name is Angela Boswell,
Okay.
also referred to as Angel from time
Okay.
to time.
And were you able to locate Angela Boswell?
Yes, she was located
And where was she located?
in Wilkes County, North Carolina.
Okay. Was she with anyone?
She was with a man named William McLeod.
Okay. Did Angela have Evelyn?
No, she did not.
Okay. At this point in the investigation, had anything led you to believe that Angela had Evelyn at any point?
No.
Okay. Did you yourself end up going to North Carolina?
Yes, I did.
And why?
To interview Angela Boswell and William McLeod.
Okay. Moving forward a few days, do you remember meeting with Megan Boswell again on February 23rd, 2020?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Who was present for that interview?
Now Lieutenant Matt Price
Okay. Where did that interview take place?
at the sheriff's office.
Okay. Is that located in Sullivan County, Tennessee?
Yes, it is.
What was the purpose of that interview?
At that point, we were still speaking with the defendant, trying to get as much information as we could regarding the investigation.
Okay. Had you started developing a timeline at any point?
Yes, that's one thing that we worked on throughout this investigation that is important when you're looking for a missing person to determine their last known whereabouts.
Okay. And were you continually working in and out of the sheriff's department during this time?
Yes.
Did you have a scheduled interview with the defendant on February 25th of 2020?
No, we did not.
Okay. Did you see the defendant that day?
Yes, she showed up at the sheriff's office.
Okay. And is that located in Sullivan County?
It is, yes.
Okay. Did the defendant tell you why she showed up that day?
Initially, or throughout talking with her, she gave a couple of different reasons.
Okay. What did she say?
She was concerned about having her body spray returned to her. She was talking about forming a search party to go to an area she kept referring to as Mendota, and she was asking about whether she would be, or whether there would be any issues with tampering with evidence.
Okay. Did she specify why she was concerned about tampering with evidence?
The defendant told us that someone had told her that she might get arrested for tampering with evidence.
Okay. Had law enforcement heard about Mendota?
Yes, Mendota had been brought up a few times as a possible place to search.
Okay. Did the defendant at this time show you any concern for Evelyn?
She did not.
Do you recall speaking with her in a different manner to try to get her to give you more information about where Evelyn might be?
I'm sorry, could you clarify that for me?
Did you give her any possible scenarios?
Yes, during the interview, that particular February 25th interview, we discussed with her, were there any other possibilities about the whereabouts of Evelyn? For example, was she aware that something happened and wasn't telling law enforcement?
Okay, what do you mean something happened? Can you describe further what you mean by that?
I was specifically asking her about whether Evelyn had any breathing issues, for example, whether she had stopped breathing at some point, and the defendant just didn't know what to do and hadn't yet reported that to law enforcement.
Okay. What made you decide to suggest this to her?
There were several reasons. Throughout the investigation, we were consulting with our forensic scientist in the lab, as well as the doctors at the William Jenkins Forensic Center about possibilities in child deaths, and some of the issues that had come up were positional asphyxiation.
Okay. You used the word positional asphyxiation. Is that a word you used with the defendant?
In the interview, I don't think I said those specific words.
Okay. Do you know what word or do you recall what specific words you used?
Specifically, I think I just was asking about whether the victim had stopped breathing.
Okay. So you asked her specifically if Evelyn might have stopped breathing. Were you suggesting an accident, or were you suggesting that it was, for lack of a better word, a homicide at this point?
You know, we were open to all types of theories at that point, but we did want to know whether an accident had occurred sometime in the past and she had done something and just not told us about it at that point.
When you discussed these things with her, did she continue to maintain nothing like that had happened?
She did. She denied that there was ever any breathing issues.
Okay. Did she maintain she told you everything?
Multiple times the defendant had told us that she had told us everything that she knew.
Okay. And do you recall that interview ending?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And do you recall where that interview took place within the building?
It took place in several parts of the building. At one point, we were upstairs in the sheriff's office, and at another point, we had walked the defendant downstairs to essentially escort her out of the building.
Okay. So you walked her down yourself?
I believe now Lieutenant Price was with me.
Okay. When you got to the door, did you see anything outside?
Yes, at that time, the news media was just right outside the front door.
Okay. What did you do when you saw them?
We offered out of a courtesy to the defendants, do you want to go out another door so you don't have to face them?
Okay. And did you, in fact, walk her to a different door?
Yes, we walked her out a side door at the sheriff's office.
Okay. And did you see the defendant after that?
Yes.
What
Yes,
did you
we
see?
did.
What did you see?
She had walked from that side door back to the front of the building and then gave an interview with the news.
Okay. In looking for Evelyn, how many times did law enforcement search that trailer park where the defendant was living with Evelyn?
I know multiple. I know I was there twice, and I know other law enforcement officers had gone in addition to that.
Anything?
I'll say this. At least Megan, when she did interview with, or, gave interviews to the media, she didn't do it insisting that she be filmed from behind. Letitia, we're all looking at you.
ever found, other than the stroller we've already talked about, that was helpful to the investigation?
No.
Okay. Can you please tell us how many law enforcement agencies had been called in to help find Evelyn Boswell?
The specific number, I don't know. However, it was a large amount of law enforcement, essentially all of the TBI resources out of the Johnson City office, several from the Knoxville office, many people from Nashville were helping. I know our aviation unit, several pilots assisted with a plane, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, all of Sullivan County Sheriff's Office, and probably every local agency in the greater East Tennessee area. The United States Marshal Service was involved at times. Our partner agency in North Carolina, the State Bureau of Investigation, assisted, along with the Wilkes County Sheriff's Office.
Okay.
And I will say this,
Was a tip line
at this point and in the trial, this testimony really leads me to believe that Hunter didn't have anything to do with it, and here's why. Because I believe with the amount of law enforcement, including the FBI, that investigated Evelyn's disappearance and ultimately investigated her murder, I think that if Hunter was involved in any way, shape, or form, he'd be charged.
line established in order to try to find Evelyn?
Yes, in scenarios like this, we use a tip line, the number being 1-800-TBI-5.
Okay. And do you know approximately how many tips came in during that time?
A couple of thousand.
Okay. How does a law enforcement agency determine which leads to follow?
At different times, especially early on in the investigation, we man the tip line with different agents. Different analysts in Nashville are keeping eyes on every tip that go in, and we essentially use our experience and determine which tips that maybe we should look at first and try to prioritize them and continue to working them until we can close them and move on to others.
Okay. Are you confident that every credible lead was followed to the end?
Absolutely.
Okay. And were you given leads based on information that Megan Boswell gave you directly? Individuals to look at.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you mean.
Did you follow the leads based on information that Megan Boswell gave you?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Okay. Can you tell us what, like just one at a time, what was one of those leads that she gave you as to where Evelyn was?
So we got the initial story that Evelyn was with Ethan, and us and other law enforcement agencies and the Army CID essentially eliminated that lead.
Okay.
Hey, Elric, welcome. Elric says, so this tragedy occurred somewhere near the North Carolina-Tennessee border. I believe that the crime occurred actually in Tennessee, not at the Tennessee, on any border. But I think that I know that the reason why North Carolina was included in this is because at the time, Megan Boswell, who's the defendant in this case, said that her mother, Angela Boswell, had her daughter, Evelyn, who was murdered. One of the lies that Megan told was that Angela had her, and Angela, through her boyfriend at the time, had ties to North Carolina, which is how North Carolina became involved.
Do you feel confident that you were able to eliminate Ethan as a suspect?
Yes.
Okay. What about Angela Boswell?
Same answer, yes.
Okay. Did you investigate Angela Boswell?
Yes.
Did you investigate her boyfriend, Will McLeod?
Yes, we did.
Based on your investigation, were you able to confidently eliminate Angela Boswell and Will McLeod as suspects?
Objection, Your Honor. We approach.
Yes.
Objection sustained as before.
Okay. I'm going to rephrase the question, okay? Were you able to eliminate Angela Boswell and or Will McLeod, her boyfriend, as suspects in this case?
Yes.
Okay. What about Mendota?
Yes, that area was thoroughly searched by multiple law enforcement agencies, and we never found any bit of information or evidence that linked that area to Evelyn Boswell.
Can you briefly tell the jury what Megan Boswell had told you about Mendota?
The defendant kept referencing campgrounds in Mendota. I wasn't really sure what she meant at the time, but she kept bringing up, you should go to Mendota. And She just kept bringing it up.
Okay. Was Mendota investigated?
Thoroughly, yes.
Okay. Were you able to locate anything of importance to this investigation in Mendota and or at a campground in Mendota?
No, nothing.
Okay.
So Kelly asks, I may be way off in left field here, but just a thought. Was the BMW ever searched for evidence? Because why was she, quote unquote, selling it to her mom or giving it away? So it's for base. We don't really know the complete story surrounding the BMW or what was done in any way, like forensically searching it or whatever, because whoever did that hasn't testified yet. So if it was done. I think that what Megan said, and of course, this is really problematic because Hunter is not going to be able to testify, but the BMW was not actually Hunter's. It was actually registered to Hunter's brother. Okay. And apparently, Hunter's brother had somebody lined up to buy the BMW, and then that person backed out at the last minute. And I have a feeling that Angela and her boyfriend talked slick and were able to convince Hunter, ultimately Hunter's brother, really, because it was his vehicle, to like let them take it and make payments on it.
Okay. What is it?
This is an application for applying for a residence at the Overlook Apartments.
Okay. And can you tell us why you looked at Overlook Apartments?
We were given information that the defendant had applied to live there with her boyfriend,
Okay. Her boyfriend.
Hunter Wood.
Okay. And is that something that was collected from Overlook Apartments?
Yes.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of what was collected from Overlook Apartments?
Yes.
We'd ask that be. Yeah.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus, the amount of times they're going up to the dadgum bench.
Do you recall when they were looking, or just to say, when were they looking to try to get an apartment at Overlook Apartments?
January the 4th, 2020.
Did you learn how many occupants that the defendant and Hunter Wood put on their application?
Yes, 3.
Okay. Did you talk to the defendant about who the third occupant was going to be?
Yes, I did.
Did the defendant say the third occupant was going to be Evelyn Boswell?
No.
Okay, go ahead, sorry.
The defendant told us that at that time she was pregnant, and the third occupant was for the unborn baby.
Okay. So then, did you go one step further and ask her why Evelyn was not listed on that application?
Yes, yes, I did.
Okay, what did she say?
She told us it was not Evelyn because Hunter either would not or did not want Evelyn to live with him.
Okay. Was she able to explain where Evelyn was going to be living then, if not with her and Hunter?
No.
Jumping ahead to March 6, 2020, do you recall being contacted by the defendant's father, Tommy Boswell?
Yes.
Okay. And without going into hearsay on what he told law enforcement, did law enforcement go to Tommy Boswell's property?
Yes, initially myself and Detective Haraz.
Okay. And is that located in Blunkville?
Yes, it is.
Do you remember the street name or address?
Muddy Creek at 539/543.
Okay. And is that located in Sullivan County?
Yes, it is.
What was the purpose of going there?
We were under the impression some of the defendant's property was at that location.
Okay. Do you recall what time you arrived at that location?
It was around 5:30 that evening or afternoon.
Okay. And did Tommy Boswell give law enforcement consent to search that day?
He did, yes.
Okay. If I could please have exhibits number 6, 8, 9, well, 6 and then 8 through 12, please.
Okay. So I suppose you could look at it that way, okay, that they've established motive, Okay, but remember, this is where it gets tricky for me. That story about Hunter not wanting Evelyn to live with them came from Megan. And the problem is that Megan is a lying liar face who tells lies, who lives on Liar's Lane in the town of Liarsville. That's the problem. So I'm not sure that I wholly believe what she said. Because remember now, by the time he conducts this interview that he's talking about, after he's located some of these items, Megan's already changed her story. She's changed it from Ethan, which is what she's been telling people for months, that Ethan has her. Good night, MK. Thanks, babe, for being here. I appreciate you. She's changed her story, the same story that she's had for months about Evelyn being with Evelyn's father, who is Ethan, who was alleged at the time to be Ethan Perry. We've since learned that Ethan Perry is not Evelyn's biological father. So it makes it a little tricky when Megan says things about how somebody else feels, because Megan's a whole ass lie. That's all.
Pass to the witness, please. Thank you. Sorry. Okay. First, if you could take a look at exhibit number 6. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I recognize
What
this.
is it?
This is a drawing or a sketch of the scene at 539, 543 Muddy Creek.
Okay. Is there a pointer device up there beside you?
There's a flash.
That's it. Okay. If you could pass the exhibits to me, we'll try to do it that way to make it quicker. It's not a flashlight.
Sorry. Yeah, I thought it was a flashlight.
Okay. We'll try to make it quicker this way. These have already all come into evidence, so we'll just discuss each one. Is this a diagram of the property?
Also, I just want to point out, I just want to answer pretend judge. It's always okay to mention hidden true crime. I like that channel. I watch them frequently. So yes, of course, that's okay.
As it was on March 6th of 2020.
Yes.
Okay. Can you show the jury? I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit. Can you show the jury where you first searched?
Are you wanting me to point at that screen?
Yes. It should work. There you go.
Would have been in this area right here. It's excuse me. It is labeled as shed.
Okay. And did you search anywhere else on the property?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us where else you searched?
That building there that's labeled as Playhouse.
Okay. Now I see a box below that also appears to say shed. Do you see that?
I see that, yes.
What was that?
That was another outbuilding that was full of, I believe the business name is Tommy's Paving or something like that. And it was full of paving or asphalt-related equipment.
Okay. All right. I'm going to show you next what's been marked as exhibit number 7. Is that the outbuilding that you were talking about a few moments ago?
Yes.
Okay. And exhibit number 8. Is that the outbuilding and the playhouse that you were talking about a few moments ago?
Yes.
Okay. Exhibit number 9. Can you tell us what that is?
That is a photograph of the outbuilding or shed where it shows either the defendant's or some of Evelyn's belongings.
It's essentially the shed with the door open.
Correct.
Okay. Number 10. Is this what you're calling? Did you call it a playhouse?
That is correct.
Okay. Exhibit number 12. Is that just the playhouse with the door open?
Yes.
Had anything been disturbed at the time this photo had taken place?
No.
Okay. I think I might have gotten that over. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Were you present for the search of that shed/outbuilding?
Yes.
Okay. Were you also present for the search of the playhouse on the property?
Yes.
And were you aware of whose playhouse that was?
Yes, it was the playhouse of the defendant.
Okay. If I could please have shown exhibits number 13, 14, 16, and 17. Or just if I could have this passed to me, please. 13, 14, 16, 17. Thank you. These have already been admitted into evidence. First, exhibit number 13. If it... Okay, I just made it worse. There we go. Okay. Is that how the playhouse appeared as you looked inside?
Yes.
Had anything been moved yet?
No.
Anything you noticed at first glance about this space?
Yes, a lot of the area in the back of the playhouse was covered in dirt, dust, debris, spiderwebs, and there were several items just right inside the door that it appeared they were placed in the playhouse more recently.
Okay. And which is just a second. This photo, exhibit number 14, again, how does that appear to you upon first glance when you went to that scene?
That's just a better photograph showing all of the dirt, debris, or other things on top of the belongings in there.
Okay. And then last, I'm going to show you exhibit number 17. Had anything been moved prior to this photograph being taken?
No.
And if you look closely, it's hard to tell. Can you see the black trash bag in this photo?
Yes.
Okay. And again, were you present when the trash bag was removed?
Yes.
Okay. Is this trash bag the way it appeared prior to law enforcement taking it out of the trash can?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to hold on to 17 for just a second. So you stated, I'll put this one back up for just a second. You just stated that a few items appeared out of place. Can you tell the jury or use your pointer on which items you are talking about?
These trash bags
Okay.
right here,
Mm-hmm.
and this trash can.
Okay. And can you tell the jury why did those appear out of place to you?
'Cause they weren't covered with any dirt or dust or spider webs.
Okay. So based upon that, did law enforcement make the decision to look closer at some of the items in the playhouse?
Yes.
And which items were looked at closer?
The trash can and the trash bags.
Okay. And who in particular went to take a look at the trash can?
Agent Fraley.
Okay. Is that Brian Fraley with the TBI?
That's correct.
And did you witness Agent Fraley do this?
Yes.
We're going to do this kind of in steps. What did you see Agent Fraley do first?
Just reach in for the trash can.
Okay. And does he pull anything out of the trash can at some point?
Yes.
What does he pull out?
Initially, the bags that were on top.
Okay. And did you notice anything at the time that he pulled the bag on top?
Yes.
What did you notice?
A couple of things. There was it looked like flesh in a sort of this part of either an elbow and an arm or the part of a knee and a leg, and noticed immediately the smell of human decomposition.
Okay. Had you noticed that smell prior to that trash bag being removed?
No.
Okay. And again, in looking at this photo, actually, I'll pass that back up. If I could please have number 18 and 19 and 42, please. Okay, this has been previously admitted. With this photo, is that what you were just referencing a few moments ago?
Yes.
Is that before or after the black trash bag was removed?
This photo would have been taken after.
Okay. So now, did you think that was a baby's leg?
Initially, when I first saw it, I really thought that it might have been a baby doll. It looked like an antique, kind of a flesh color, and it was, it's hard to describe the look of the skin, but it almost did not look real. It had like a shine to it. And as you can tell, it's at least getting dark at this point. We're in the evening, in the wintertime, and we're shining flashlights on it. So I specifically remember that it had like just kind of a shine to it. And initially I thought, is that a baby doll?
Okay. So you said it was dark when you were doing this?
Yes.
Okay. Did you determine that it was not a baby doll?
It was immediately apparent.
Okay. And at that point, what did law enforcement decide to do?
We sort of paused at that point and decided we needed to call some other people in. We made a decision on who was going to perform that search and how it was going to be performed.
Okay. And who did you call in?
Well, we called the forensic center. We would have been calling various supervisors for the relative agencies that were on site.
Okay. And did you remove any items from the playhouse once those individuals arrived?
Yes,
Okay. And what did you remove?
the trash can and the trash bags.
Okay. Let's see. If I could see 42. Did I already ask for that one? I'm sorry.
Okay, so I just want to mention this really quickly before I forget. I personally, this is just my personal opinion based on the evidence that they've shown thus far in this court or in this trial. I think the reason that Megan put her where she put her was because Megan wanted to keep an eye on where Evelyn was. And I think that the playhouse is particularly telling because that playhouse was built for Megan specifically and only, and it was built by her grandfather. And I think that she knew that nobody would go in there. And I think that's why she put her where she put her, because I think she wanted to know where she was so that she would know if she'd been found, right? If anybody had gone in that shed. Megan knows exactly how she left that shed or that playhouse, how she left that playhouse, and it was a way of her keeping an eye on it. That playhouse was special and meant something special to Megan and Megan only. And I actually think that is one of the main things that leads me to believe that Hunter was not involved.
And I'm going to be asking for 22 through 27 in a second. If that helps. Okay. So I'm going to show you what's been previously marked as exhibit number 42.
Okay. So, let me see. Adrian says, but why the aluminum foil? I have wondered about that and wondered about that and wondered about that. I think that Hunter might have said something to her about aluminum foil, and I think that foil might have been used to frame Logan. And also to answer why they didn't seek the death penalty. I think part of the reason they didn't seek the death penalty in this case is due to her age. I don't think that they felt that they could get a jury to give her the death penalty because when a jury decides the sentence, which is they are in this case, so in this case she faces life without the possibility of parole. But if they had sought the death penalty, she would have faced either the death penalty or life without the possibility of parole. This just sort of eliminates an extra step. Also, it can be difficult to get a death penalty qualified jury.
Now, are these items still inside or are they outside the playhouse at this point? Can you tell? Or do I need to?
It might help if that helps a little bit.
As far as it goes. It's a little dark on the screen. Would you like to see the exhibit?
Yes,
It's
that
the
would
photograph
help.
itself.
That's much better.
22 through 27. Are you able to tell if that is inside or outside the playhouse?
It's just outside the playhouse on a like a perch or a porch area.
Okay. I could have that pass back for just a moment. Okay. And at this point, is Evelyn's body still inside that trash can?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, teacup, it could be that too. I
Did law
mean,
enforcement start the process of removing Evelyn from the trash can?
Yes, we did.
Did that take place there, or did it take place at the forensic center?
and Britt,
Removing.
that's also
the
a
items in the trash can.
possibility.
Yes.
It took place there on scene.
Okay. I'll show you what's been previously marked as exhibit number 22. Is this the start of that process?
Yes.
Can you please use your pointer and show us where Evelyn's head would be located in this photograph? Let's see.
It's pointing it the wrong way. It would be down in this
Okay,
area.
okay. So essentially she was head down in the trash bag, is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah, click right.
Oh, here we go.
Rephrase.
Okay. Was Evelyn in this trash bag?
Yes.
Okay. Where was Evelyn's head?
You wanted me to point or no? In this area.
Okay.
Did I say Logan? I might have, it might have been misspeaking. I said, so Call Me Sadie said, if Hunter was the one who supposedly talked about wrapping his head in aluminum foil, according to Mr. Scott, then how does it frame Logan? What I meant to say is that it frames Hunter. I don't even know who Logan is. I think I just pulled that right out of thin air for no reason. Obviously, I'm tired. Sorry about that, you guys. I meant to say Hunter. I think that it's quite, Megan seems to me to be incredibly devious and also not above throwing anybody and everybody falsely under the bus. And I think that's why she did it. I mean, I think that's a distinct possibility. I think that it's also a distinct possibility that she did it because she wanted to keep Evelyn from the odor escaping. I think it's possible that she did it because she wanted to make it appear as if it was regular trash. And there's a lot of possibilities as to why she did what she did. I apologize for misspeaking. I meant to say Hunter. My bad.
Can you tell me, well, that's all I need to know. Okay. Okay. Do you recognize that photograph?
Yes, I do.
Okay. What is it?
This is a continuation of the photographs that were being taken at the time I was taking the photographs.
Okay.
And you can see the continued process of removing the contents from the trash can.
Okay. Is that a fair and accurate representation of how that looked on that date?
Yes.
We'd ask that be made exhibit number 194. Permission to publish.
Elric, unfortunately, we're not going to know the answer to that because Hunter
Can
is
you
currently in a mental
Tell the
health
jury in
hospital where he's
particular
been for
what you
2 months.
noticed about the trash bag here, if anything.
Yes, this is a really good representation to show how the bag was packed down in the can. As you can see, essentially the outline of the can, the bag has maintained the shape when being pulled out of the can.
Okay.
And there was another question I wanted to answer about when do I think
This has
she
already been
did
previously
this.
admitted as number 24. Can you tell us?
I think she did this probably on December 6th, right after that dinner she had at Chili's with her ex-friend. Now somebody she's no longer friends with. I think it was shortly thereafter, if not the same night.
What we are looking at here.
This is a continued photograph in the process of removing the items from the bag.
Okay. Is Evelyn in that bag?
Yes.
Can you tell us where her head is located?
Do you want me to use the pointer?
Yes, please.
It would be down in this area here.
Can you tell me what's depicted in this photograph?
This is the body of Evelyn Boswell.
Okay, and can you tell us what we're looking at here? Using the pointer if you need to.
Could you be more specific?
What are we looking at?
Okay. So again, the body is inside of these contents or this blanket. Right here is a blanket. It's grayish, and you can really start to see, it's a little difficult to see on the screen with what it's doing with the colors, but right in this area, you're beginning to see the outfit that Evelyn has on. And in addition to that, you're beginning to see the shape of the head of Evelyn right here, and this is aluminum foil that is formed around the victim's head.
Previously marked exhibit number 26. Can you tell the jury what we are seeing here?
This is a photograph of the trash bag after Evelyn's body was removed from the trash bag.
Okay. (26) Again, can you tell the jury what we're looking at here?
Here's the pointer. This picture, you can see again, the victim is lying here, this being the shape of the head. This is the trash bag. She had just been removed, and at the bottom of the bag were trash contents.
Okay. So what, was anything else in that bag that had been removed?
I'm not sure what you mean.
You've got a bag there full of food debris. Had
Yeah.
anything else, was anything else located in that bag other than that food debris?
Along with the things that were already removed,
What else had been removed?
the blanket with the body and the aluminum foil.
So Evelyn's body was in that bag.
Yes.
Okay. Can I put the 34 and 40?
Angela, I don't know why she and her friend really stopped speaking. I don't really know why. Excuse me, why that happened.
Okay. I'll show you what's been previously marked as exhibit number 34. Can you tell the jury?
You know what? It's quite possible the real reason they stopped speaking is because the friend just didn't want to have anything to do with her. I mean, the friend testified that her last name is Carter. I can't remember what her first name is right now. Anyway, I believe that she testified that when she saw Megan and Evelyn that day at the Chili's, that Evelyn was not in good shape, that she was dirty, and that she could smell her across the room. And I have a feeling that after that meeting or after that lunch, Megan just pretty much stopped associating with her. And I do think that the friend thought that was just fine by her because they probably grew apart. The reason they were even at the Chili's was because her friend had just finished her college exams. And so I think they just grown apart.
What they are seeing here.
Yes, you can really start to see the outline of the body at this point, of the body of Evelyn. Which right here is the head, with the blanket formed to the head. This is the outfit. That is Evelyn's hand, and this is a blanket that is wrapped around Evelyn.
Okay, can you tell us where Evelyn's face is located?
It would be right in this area.
Okay. And I'm going to show you one more, previously marked as exhibit number 40. Can you tell the jury what they are looking at here?
Yes, here I was focusing in on the trash can, specifically for this item,
Okay.
which was a piece of gum that was stuck to the side of the trash can.
And was that collected?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes, Marjorie. Thank you. Caitlin. Yeah, Megan lost her
After
phone or whatever. Yeah,
Evelyn's
that's right.
body had been taken out. What was done with the foil, if anything?
The foil was collected and ultimately sent to the TBI lab initially in Knoxville, and later on it was sent to our lab in Nashville.
Okay. Okay. Ask if you recognize that.
Yes, I do.
What is it?
This is a photograph taken later at the Knoxville lab of the aluminum foil that was collected.
Okay. Is that a fair and accurate representation of the foil that was collected from the body of Evelyn Boswell?
Yes.
We'd ask that be made exhibit number 195.
Any objection?
And permission to publish.
We'll give it one.
Okay. Okay, tell the jury what they're looking at here.
Yes, this is different sheets of aluminum foil. They were stretched out as best that I could without damaging them, and I stretched them out onto a large table at the Knoxville lab and photographed them.
Okay. And were those also collected as evidence?
Yes, they were collected that night, and at the time they were at the Knoxville lab, and I believe shortly after that were sent to the Nashville lab.
After Evelyn's body was processed there at Muddy Creek, where did her body go?
It was taken to the forensic center in Johnson City
Okay. And what was the purpose of that?
for Dr. Schmidt to complete an autopsy.
Okay. And did you ever receive confirmation that the remains found in the playhouse were those of missing baby Evelyn Boswell?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I don't know if this is a good place to stop. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we've reached the point where we're going to stop for today.
Okay, so there we have it. They're stopping for the day. They will obviously, they will resume Monday, tomorrow, with this witness on the stand. And so will we. So I'm going to go ahead and end the live. I'm tired and we got to all be up early. We need, I will start the stream tomorrow morning at 8:00 a.m. Central Standard Time, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I want to thank you guys all for being here. I appreciate it so very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you haven't done so, please do me a favor and give your girl a thumbs up on the stream or a thumbs down for me inadvertently calling Hunter Logan. That was on accident. I'm sorry. I will see you guys tomorrow morning bright and early at 8 a.m. Thank you again so much for being here. I appreciate it. And I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye.
Cause it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got shit to do. Well, fuck you.
No malicious intent or effort was towards it.
No militia. Finish her!
Minutes later.
We all do a little mad sometimes.
Oh.
Man!